Hello and welcome. Ed Reiner here with another daily dose of mind stuff. I want to welcome you to today. We are on day 11, I believe. I should have looked at the title card. Day 11 we are at, and today I've got another snippet from of Bob. This is actually from a live event that he put on. It was called the Paradigm Shift, and to see Bob live was absolutely amazing, and energy in the crowd. So we're going to go over to this recording of the live seminar that he did a few years back. And he's talking about how important it is to think big. We got to start thinking big. In previous lessons, he talks about coming up with something big. We talked about the ABCs of goal setting. You know, the A level is where most people set their goals. They set goals on things that they already know how to do. And there's no growth there. There's no inspiration on going after something that you already know how to get. The B level is what we think we can do. So people a lot of times will be at that B level. If all of these things fall into place, if I have the circumstances and the conditions just right, if this happens, if I get the money for this, if I work this and do that, then I can achieve this goal. So that's what they think they can do. A lot of businesses will set goals at this level. They'll look at what they did in the past and then look at increasing it by 10, 15%, something like that, maybe 20. You know, this is what we think we can do. The C level is where we start to fantasize. It's where we go after what we really want. This is where we have no idea what it is, or no idea of how we're going to accomplish this. This is uncharted territory. But most people don't go there because they don't know, they can't see the way. But the thing is, no one ever saw the way how to get to their goal when they've done something really big until after they got there. So in this snippet here, this little section from the Paradigm Shift, Bob is going to be talking about thinking big. We really want to start thinking big. So let's pop over and we will see what Bob has to say about thinking big.
A long time ago, I learned that you and I have a program deep in our psyche. And most of us are not aware of the program. We're not aware that it even exists. We're not aware, of course, then how it was built and the role that it plays in our life. I'm quite certain that every one of you can relate to this. When I was a little boy, my mother would say, "Why did you do that?" I'd say, "I don't know." She'd say, "What do you mean you don't know? You know better." "I know." "Why did you do it?" "I don't know." I went into the Canadian Navy. They weren't quite like my mother. "Proctor." "Yes, sir." "Why'd you do that?" "I don't know, sir." "You know better." "I know." "Why'd you do it?" "I don't know." And then they'd punish you, fine you, out in the parade square, run with a rifle or something. We're asked, why did you do that? We don't know why we did it. We know better. We know we didn't have to do it. We didn't want to do it, and we do it anyway. Now, it's a strange thing that a high percentage of all people walking on the planet are going through that. They know how to live the way they want to live. They know how to treat people the way they should treat people. But that doesn't mean they're going to do it. In most cases, they don't do it. And that's rather sad because they want to. So what they're doing, they're working with an unseen enemy that's programmed right into their mind. Now, the strange part about this We didn't build this program, someone else built it. But we're responsible for changing it. It was built genetically. That's why you look so much like your relatives. When I was a young guy, I had red hair. And my mother didn't have red hair. My father didn't have red hair. I have a brother and a sister. Neither one of them had red hair, which could lead to all kinds of speculation, couldn't it? However, my mother's father and all his brothers had red hair. Sometimes it'll jump one generation, come out in another one. But it's not just the color of your hair or the shape or the form of your body. It's your behavioral patterns. And they're passed down from one generation to another. Do you know that almost all welfare recipients are third, fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients? Oh, yeah. People are creatures of habit. Way back in the late 30s, Albert E. N. Gray was the Secretary to Prudential Insurance. And he wrote an article, he wrote a talk, it was a great talk. I carried it with me for years. The common denominator of success. And he said the common denominator of success was in forming the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Now think of that. The common denominator of success is forming the habit of doing things failures don't like to do. Well, you know, a young guy asked him one time, why successful people stop doing the things. And he told them they learned how to do it, and they changed it. And that's really what this paradigm shift is all about. Let's think of what a paradigm is for a moment, because it's mighty important. A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Now think, it's a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior, and almost all of our behavior is habitual. I went along until I was 26, going in the wrong direction, picking up speed. And all of a sudden, just like that, I stopped and I went in the other direction. My income went from $4,000 a year to $14,500 a month within a year. No formal education, no business experience. Bang, just like that it happened. It wasn't an accident. I was following the direction of an individual that came into my life. He gave me this book, Think and Grow Rich, and he said, if you'll read this every day, he said, the man that wrote it spent his entire life putting it together. And he said, I think it would be a very prudent move on your part if you spent the rest of your life trying to understand and apply what he wrote. And then he said, if you'll do exactly what I tell you until you find out I'm lying or I don't know what I'm talking about. Now, I had never done that. I was, I guess what you'd call a bad kid. Not really bad, but bad. I wouldn't do what I was told. I wouldn't go to school. I had a brother and sister that lived a pretty straight life. I was always getting in trouble. Now, as I look back, I was probably screaming for attention, but I was always getting in trouble. And I wouldn't do it. I absolutely resented any kind of authority. But all of a sudden, this guy said, if you do exactly what... Now, then he said, listen, your way's not working, mine is. Why don't you do what I'm telling you? Now, I was always broke. At that time, you could buy 2 gallons of gas or 5 gallons of gas for $2. I was forever trying to hit somebody up for a couple of dollars for gas. I was not a happy guy. And so the way he said it made sense. Your way's not working, why don't you try mine? He said, you can have anything you want. I didn't believe that. How could I believe that? It was like Jack and the Beanstalk or the Tooth Fairy or something. I just couldn't buy it. But there was something, I guess, by the way he said it. I've thought about this so many times. Why did I buy into it? And I don't really know because it's looking back a long ways, but I guess maybe it was the way he said it. I once heard, when you hear the truth, you'll know it. The truth resonates with the essence of who you are. There's perfection within every one of us. And when you hear the truth, it resonates with that perfection within us. And that's probably what happened. So unconsciously, I had something in me telling me this guy knew what he was talking about. And so I started to do exactly what he said. I was mentioning last night at dinner that I formed the habit of doing that. And when I went to the next mentor, I had him for a mentor for quite a long time. And when I went to the next one, it wasn't that he was telling me so much. I observed what he was doing, and I would start doing what he was doing. I watched what he was reading, and I would start reading what he's reading. Now, I've had seven actually, mentors in my life, and I've always done exactly what they told me. And you know, it's worked like unadulterated magic. Now, they didn't tell me what time to eat or what time to go to bed, but there were certain things they did tell me, and I would do exactly what they said. And everything in my life turned around. When you go from struggling, I was 26 at $4,000 a year, and in under 5 years, I was up over $1 million. I started cleaning offices to earn a couple of dollars, extra dollars. I ended up cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. Everything, and I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely none. I was what you call an unconscious competent. Now, I found that most successful people are unconscious competents. They cannot articulate on why they're successful. They really don't know. Yet because they don't know, they've got something that's non-transferable. They can't give it to their own children. They can't give it to the staff if they have a company. Most highly successful people cannot articulate on why they're highly successful. They do not know. They don't understand paradigms. They really don't. And so it's non-transferable. Now, this shocked me. But I found in going into companies that some of the people at the top didn't know why they were at the top. Some of them didn't belong at the top anyway, but they, that was the deal. And so one day I broke it all down and I went out and studied and I figured out how to put it together. And when I got the dots to connect, all I wanted to do was teach it to other people. I have learned one thing very, very well. You are not going to go very far on your own. If you don't have the help of other people, you're not going to go very far. Our company is doing extremely well, but we've got phenomenal staff. I wouldn't trade anybody that we've got in our company. We just a phenomenal group of people. Now, I learned something last night. All successful people have high energy. We'll talk about that a little later. I had high energy, and I could make things happen. Man, I was cutting a path, and all kinds of business, but we never had any money. I'd earn millions, and there would be no money. About 13 years ago, Sandy Gallagher came to a seminar. And one thing led to another, and she ended up being a business partner with me. A 50-50 deal. And I'm going to tell you, she changed this company like night and day. Now, I've always done very well. I've had business all over the world. I've got the confidence of some of the largest companies in the world that we work for. We've always done very well. But we never ended up with any money. And because we didn't have any money, we couldn't enjoy the growth that we should have enjoyed. That takes money. And when she came to seminar, and then she became the partner, she said, you got to do exactly what I say. Now, she's not very big. But I said, okay, I'll do it. And I can tell you, there's times when it was very difficult to do, very difficult. It wasn't easy at all. But I've done it. I've supported her 100%. And of course, it got easier because things got better. But we are enjoying tremendous success today. And because of that, we're reaching an awful lot more people. If you're sitting at home or sitting in your office watching this, it's because the company did change. And because it changed, we were able to now do what we're doing with streaming. We're into all kinds of countries all over the world. There's thousands of people that are not in this room, but they're going to enjoy the seminar just the same as if you were in this room. And I want to welcome you, and I want to thank you for tuning into us. And you're going to end up thanking us because this is phenomenal information. Now, I've often mentioned I've got license to brag about all the ideas I use because none of them are mine. I did not originate this information. I was just a very curious guy. And I've never lost my curiosity. I've never stopped studying. I love studying. And we're all the beneficiary of that.
Okay. So that goes over Bob's story and how one person taking these ideas can really, really drastically shoot up like a rocket. Now, Bob mentioned a couple things in there. He talked about the common denominator of success. He said that the common denominator of success is that successful people are in the habit of doing things that other people don't want to do, or unsuccessful people that they don't want to do. And he kind of said something there that really didn't make any sense. And I think what he meant to say, because I've heard this before, was that there was a radio show that somebody had that would have people on, and they were talking about that. And the listener asked, well, why do successful people like to do the things that unsuccessful people don't? And Albert E. Grace said that it's not that they like to do it. They don't. They don't like to do it many of the times, depending on what it is. They've just made it a habit. And what is a habit? A habit is an idea that we have impressed into the subconscious mind that requires no conscious thought. It's just automatic. When you get up in the morning, you have a routine. There's a habit that you go through when you get dressed in the morning. When you're driving your car, a lot of time that's just by habit. That's purely subconscious. If you've ever driven somewhere and you go from point A to your house and you pull into the driveway and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't remember driving the past 15 minutes. Because your subconscious took it over. It's a habit of doing it so often. So what we want to do when we're changing habits and starting to try to change our paradigm, start taking different routes, because that causes you to be consciously aware of what you're doing and causes you to think. It starts to build new neurotransmission through your mind, connections. So he talks about it being a habit, and that the successful people don't like doing it. They've just made it a habit. And that's what we want to do, is start to change these habits, because a multitude of these habits is what constitutes as a paradigm. That's what Bob was talking about. A paradigm is a mental program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. So we're not in control at all the majority of the time. And he said that almost all of our behavior is habitual. So if we don't like the results we're getting, or if we want to go for something larger in our life, we need to look at changing those paradigms. Something I always find interesting when people like Bob or other speakers talk about earnings that they earned, or Bob talks a lot about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and they talk about Andrew Carnegie and how much Andrew Carnegie was worth way back then. It seems like a lot of money, and a lot's all relative compared to what. I mean, that's the law of relativity related to something else. But I like to, look at what Bob was earning back in 1963 when he got that book. So he was earning $4,000 a year. And then he went up to, he said, 14,050 or 14,500, excuse me, 14,500 a month. Now, even in today's standards, some people would love to be earning $14,000 a month. But I like to look at it and see what it equates to today's dollar, the buying power. So if we look at that, okay, so here's a guy, no formal education. He went like a month in high school before he cut his thumb off almost with a bandsaw. So they were asked him to leave. So no formal education, no business experience. Like he said, he wasn't necessarily a bad guy, but he wasn't really good either. In and out of jobs all the time. So $4,000 a year is what he was earning. He actually owed $6,000. He was earning $4,000. He owed $6,000 when he got the book. So today's dollars, that's almost around $40,000 a year that he was making. He went up to $14,500 a month. Now this is what blows me away. In today's dollars, that's $141,000 that he was earning per month. So that gives you a good idea of the jump that he went in less than a year. And then he said within 5 years, he was making over $1 million. Well, back then, well, this is on 1963, but it should be close, is $9.7 million. So if you were to tell the story today with today's value of the dollar, he was earning $40,000 a month, and within a year went to $141,000 a month, and then in 5 years went over $9.7 million. A guy with no formal education, no business experience, a bit of a loser, and that's coming from him. That's not me saying that. So when you get someone like that, you kind of want to listen to what he says, because he might have some knowledge there. And that's why I've been studying him for so long. Like he said, he's had a few mentors. When you find somebody that's doing or that has what you want to follow what they're doing. You want to listen to what they're doing and apply the principles that they teach. And a lot of the principles that Bob shares and that we share with Proctor Gallagher Institute do seem a little silly, and they seem out of the ordinary. They seem kind of, like, why do I have to do this? But as Bob says, he just did what was said. Some of his best students, and I might come across a video, because like I said, these daily dose of mind stuff, this is all stuff that I'm studying on a daily basis, and I'm just sharing with you what I'm watching and taking notes on as I'm doing it. But he has Phil Goldfine, who was probably one of Bob's best students. I mean, the guy's a movie producer. He wasn't doing very good, and he did exactly what Bob said. I mean, he implemented immediately what Bob said. And the guy's won, I think, 2 Oscars, a Grammy, a Tony, a Panda. I mean, the success he's had in the movie industry is absolutely amazing. So you got to do what the person like that says if they have what they're doing. And like he said, what Ray Stanford said to him is, listen to me until you find out what I'm saying is that I'm a lion or I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, he definitely knows what he's talking about because he had the results to show it, and he doesn't lie. So you got to kind of follow that. And he had said that no one's going to reach any sort of success on their own. You're going to have people to help you. So continue to tune in on a daily basis with me. Like I said, we're going 100 days on this. So we're 11 days down. So I've got a lot more information that I'm going to be sharing. I'll be sharing some of the things that maybe I'm studying. That's not always going to be a video of Bob, but in the beginning, I like these because I watch these on a daily basis, and it's helping me get used to this whole platform. So tune in. If you got value from this, then like it, share it, make a comment, leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to touch on that you've heard. If you have any questions, leave the comment below, but like it, share it, and I will see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Zed Reiner, peace. God bless.